What's up, guys? I'm Zach Joachim. This is On the Horn. I'm at the Siegel Center on this fine fall Sunday afternoon after VCU beat Fairfield 82-64 in their last exhibition prior to next Monday's season opener against Wagner right here at the Siegel Center. It's a 7 o'clock tip. A lot of positives from today, especially people were obviously looking for a bounce back performance after the loss at Villanova, which I didn't see. I wasn't there. It wasn't streamed. And so all we have is the box score and the conversations coming off of that Villanova game. Fairfield's obviously a lesser opponent. And credit to them. Stags is a cool mascot, by the way. Credit to Fairfield because they hung in there. They were tough. They wouldn't go away. VCU led throughout for 39-26, right? Fairfield never led. So I don't think there was ever really a threat of VCU losing this game, but there was definitely, it got down to 5, I think, in that second half. Maybe about 5-6 minutes into the second half. VCU certainly started sluggish. And then wonderful, energetic response down the stretch for VCU to pull away. End up winning by 18 in a game that I'm not sure that's indicative of the competitive balance throughout the whole thing. It was probably closer than that. And the big factor for that, we talked to Brandon Jennings, Michael Bell, and Jadrian Tracy and Phil Martelli afterward in the press conference, and I'll get those uploaded to YouTube shortly here. But rebounding, I mean, Phil called it atrocious. That was his word, to give up 20 offensive rebounds to Fairfield, and they had 18 second chance points. And that was really the thing that kept them in this game, or at least kind of within striking distance for a while there. Brandon Benjamin, 10 rebounds for them. Declan Wucherpfennig. That's my attempt at saying his last name. It's Wucherpfennig. That's my best attempt. But he was good. Credit to him. He had 10 points, 8 rebounds. And those two guys in particular really crashed the offensive glass. So that's certainly something that VCU's got to clean up. We also talked about it. Matt Shelton asked a great question in the postgame. And Phil Martelli said that it was a big topic of conversation for his staff. Lazar Djokovic, Christian Furman, and Keyshawn Mitchell combined for 0 rebounds. That's your 3 5s who did not get a single rebound in this game. And some of that is those guys being help defenders on drives. When you're coming up to contest a shot, then you're not in position to grab a rebound sometimes. But I mean, Phil said that they got to be better than that, certainly in terms of their activity, particularly on the offensive glass. It was really the wings and the major positives today. Tyrell Ward, 18 points, 6 of 8 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. A guy who sat out a college basketball season last year, hadn't played a official college basketball game in 500 plus days. I forget what the exact number is, but it's been quite a long time. So he's still getting his legs back under him. Man, he's one of those shooters that when it falls, it makes that special splash sound in the net, and he had a few of those tonight. He was 3 of 5 from 3, 6 of 8 from the floor, game high 18 points, and 14 over on his box plus minus. So that's a huge positive. And then Jadrian Tracy, we talked to Brandon and to Bell and to Phil post-game. Phil called him in the preseason when we talked when Phil first got here and when Jadrian joined the program. He called him a connector. And I think that's a really appropriate term for him. He's obviously been around the block in college basketball. I'm pretty sure that he's the most experienced college basketball player in terms of game action on this team. He's been down to a JUCO, right? He's been at a point where he was struggling for playing time, and then he's made deep runs into the NCAA tournament with a program like Oregon, right? So he has seen college basketball on both sides of the spectrum. 11 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 13 over on the plus minus. Also had a block and a steal. He did a little bit of everything tonight. And so I think those two guys, to your power conference transfers, most experienced players on this team, Jadrian Tracy and Tyrell Ward, look like the guys who are, the Max Shulga and the Joe Bamaseal of this group, right? So when a game gets tough, they're going to be the guys that Phil Martelli wants the ball in their hands in late game scenarios. Brandon Jennings, 10 points. He was very good as well. 2 rebounds, 5 fouls. So a little bit of foul trouble for him. I didn't realize he ended up with 5. Did he foul out? No, he had 2. He drew 5 fouls and got to the line a good deal. 3 of 6 at the line. These two collectively didn't shoot great from the free throw line, 17 of 27, and they ended up 9 of 28 from 3. It seemed like they shot the ball better than that. 28 of 54 from the floor, though. So they attacked the cup today, and Phil talked about that in his post-game press conference, too. He doesn't want this team to shoot a bunch of threes. I don't think he obviously wants them to get up and down. A lot has been made of the pace that he wants to play at. But he said, look, I'm going to mold my style to what this personnel group does the best. And right now, maybe this is a team that plays a little slower than his past Bryant teams have, that plays a little more in the half court defensively, and that attacks the cup. And you've got a few guys who are your spot-up shooters. But this is a team that the guards need to get downhill and drive to the rim, and that's when they're at their best, when they're putting their shoulders down. He said against Villanova, they were kind of looking to draw contact and get to the line too often instead of just focusing on finishing. And they were better in that regard tonight, in terms of just putting their shoulders down, driving to the cup. Who are the other statistical standouts here? Nick Lewis, 9 points, 4 rebounds. He started. He was 11 over on the plus minus. It'll be fascinating to see if that is the starting five against Wagner next Monday. It was Tracy, Evans, Djokovic, Jennings, Lewis. I think that would surprise a lot of people if the true freshman Nick Lewis is starting for this team. I think the other four are no surprise. Again, as we talked about after the black and gold game, I'm going to back up a little bit here. I don't know if you can start Tyrell Ward and Jadrian Tracy and have two wings on the floor in addition to Evans and Djokovic. So a lot to still be figured out with the pairings. Michael Bell, huge shout out to Michael Bell, who missed a few, didn't play in the black and gold game, didn't play at Villanova, was nursing, I think it was a groin injury going into this season. And this is his first action. Played 20 minutes, 27 seconds, 5 of 7 from the floor, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. His defensive activity, his activity on the glass was wonderful. He shot 2 threes, neither of them fell. That's obviously still the hole in Mike's game that everyone wants to point to that can limit him in terms of what he does from a floor spacing standpoint, because his defender can really sag off, and there's still, I don't know if Fairfield really did it tonight, but over the last couple of years we've seen that with other teams when they're guarding Michael Bell, they're just daring him to shoot it from outside. So he's a really physical driver. And if you can back up on him, then it obviously limits floor spacing for everyone else. But the form looked good on him. I think if he just sees a couple fall, then he's going to be a more confident outside shooter, and that's the one piece missing, because in terms of being a defender and a great rebounder, that we know Michael Bell has those traits. He certainly showed them tonight, and he looked healthy, so it looks like he's going to be a prominent contributor for this team. Barry Evans ended up 2 of 5 from the floor, 0 of 3 from 3. Not his best game. He only had 4 points, 11 rebounds though, so a team high 11 rebounds, but he's -2 on the plus minus. And he's the only VCU player who's in the negatives on his plus minus. Christian Furman was only 1 over. Djokovic was only 4 over. But those are and everyone else is at 7 or above. Most of the guys in double figures with the plus minus. So I think Barry Evans just has some offensive flow things to figure out right now. But his activity on the glass was great. 10 defensive rebounds for him. So yeah, mixed bag, right? I mean, I think if you're a VCU fan, you certainly would have liked a more decisive blowout against a Fairfield team that, you expect to be levels above competitively. There were some nervy moments early in the second half, like I said, when Fairfield cut it to 5. And I think it was about 4,000 people in here. It was a Sunday afternoon too. So as far as Siegel Center atmospheres go, it was pretty subdued. That's to be expected for a preseason exhibition on a Sunday afternoon. But it was a little nervy there in the second half, especially when Fairfield got close. But VCU, I think in those last 10, 12 minutes, they turned up the intensity on the defensive end. Ended up 20-3 in fast break points. I thought they were at their best when they got out and ran. And when, doesn't that seem like such a consistent with this program? I don't think it matters what the personnel is or who the coach is. This arena has always fed off of live ball turnovers, and I think this team, regardless of if it's Ryan Odom or Will Wade or Mike Rhodes or Phil Martelli, when they're turning defense into offense and getting out and running, it seems like that's when this place is at its loudest and this team is at its best. So 20-3 in fast break points. I thought that was their best basketball of the night when they were able to get out and run. There was a Nick Lewis lob, an alley-oop to Lazar Djokovic down at this end of the floor. I want to say with 7-8 minutes to play or so, maybe 5 to 7 minutes, and that was kind of the knockout blow. And then there was also a steal and a run out that led to a Tyrell Ward dunk, and so it came pretty late in the game, but that was finally the moment where it felt like a knockout blow and VCU got the separation that you'd expect to have, and you end up with an 18-point win in a game that was probably a little closer than that from a competitive balance standpoint, and in a game where in a preseason exhibition There's certainly some great positives to build on. Michael Bell, Jadrian Tracy, Tyrell Ward, getting out and running. And there are some glaring negatives to try and improve on, particularly with the rebounding on the offensive glass. VCU's bigs have got to be more active in the rebounding battle. And you'd like to shoot the ball better. 18 assists. So I thought the unselfish ball movement was pretty was pretty good. Phil Martelli did say that he thought that the ball was popping around, but they were stagnant in terms of their positioning and the movement on the perimeter. And so he wants his guys moving off the ball a little more. So even though the ball was popping around the perimeter all right, he wants bodies moving around the perimeter better. So yeah, some positives, some negatives, a mixed bag in a preseason exhibition. The home opener is next Monday against Wagner. And it's good to be back in the Siegel Center. Thank you all for following the coverage. This is On the Horn. I'm Zach Joachim, and we'll see you against Wagner. Thanks for watching, guys.